There is some work going on, some buildings from where we are now. I hope that it doesn't interrupt us so much. I'll try and be very loud. But here we are. How has your weekend been? I hope it has been well and good. And your journey in the
Yes.
course has been good so far. Yeah, okay. We thank God. I have noticed that some of you have sent in your responses to the assignment, at your assignment to, but quite a number of you. The due date is the 20th, I think, if I recall. I'm sharing my Sakai now, so let's see what is there. All right, so I think I have the overview, but the due date for the assignment, I recall, is exactly a week. So it should be Wednesday, 20th or so. So please work on it quickly and submit. Some of you are a little worried. You are not sure how to go about it. Don't worry about it at all. We want to check your critical ability, that's all. We are trying to find out how you think relative to the discussions we've had. So make an attempt at it. And that's what we are looking for. You're not looking for any expert, kind of response. We don't want you to show any in-depth, analysis. You are level 100. We are mindful of that. But we want to see how you are thinking. I think our question was, don't recall the question for group 10, but let me go there and see. Who remembers the question that I have asked you to respond to, so that we don't have to keep moving back and forth?
Madam, me.
Please go ahead. Read the question and let us see.
The question says, using a scenario each from politics,
Yes.
law, medicine, religion, culture, and education, show why a critical thinker would use a specific type or types of definition for that context to make effective meaning. Your response should be...
Yes, should be between, I think, 500 and 600 words. This is a straightforward. It's straightforward. So don't let us even go into. Some have submitted already. Some are also working. Work on it, because of those who may likely come in late because of the extension. The university extended again the registration period. So some may join us later. It's only fair that we give them the opportunity. That is why the teaching team is now contemplating the possibility of granting an extension, but that will come at a price, because the second assignment would also be opened this week, today or tomorrow latest. You see your assignment 2, which also exists. And so if you push the assignment 1 and say that, there's likely going to be an extension, so I'll do it later, you'll still be doing that with assignment 2. We're only going to think through the possibility of reopening because the university extended the registration period. And I think up to 17th or so, students are allowed to register, even though we are in the 4th week now, 4th week of our 10 weeks. You can understand the difficulty your lecturers would also have, whilst we are making room for you to come on. So that opportunity will be for those that perhaps had just come in and would need to be given the opportunity to earn those marks, because those marks work towards your final marks in the course. So I'm just saying that so that you don't feel relaxed and say, it's likely they'll extend the time, so I'm waiting. They'll extend it only to make room for those who are coming in. But at the same time, those who are coming will be doing the assignment 2 alongside that. By the 5th week, by end of 5th week, all continuous assessments should be done. They are essays, so we have time to grade it for you, and then you earn some marks in anticipation of your mid-sem and then your final. Okay, so those are just by way of information. Now, please look on your screen with me. You will realize that we don't have much new content to engage if we were going strictly by course outline. Why? Because, so I scroll now to there. This is accessible to every student. If you have never seen it, a student of the course, and you've never seen it, it is not a good sign. See, assessment and grading. On my screen now, you see that the scheduling of assessment, the grading. I said that by the end of the 7th week, that's the weekend that opens to the 8th week, you'll be doing your mid-sem. So you should have all those there. See a statement of plagiarism. If you plagiarize, you score a 0, please. So I want to prompt. And then the required test, which is always the focus of our discussion, you should have it. When I say you should have it, you see, students will send me an email and be asking, we don't know that there is any requirement, but it's on the course outline. We don't know how else to inform students. I don't want to believe that such a student will be in any of the groups currently we are having, but your colleagues find themselves in that scenario. So you don't need to buy it if you can't. The best sells at 50 cedis, 50. It can be more. If someone is selling it more, I don't know where that would be. Well, if you go to the places that we've directed you to, then you won't purchase it beyond 550. Go to the philosophy department on main campus, or go to the School of Arts, also main campus, towards the gate, the JQB there. All that information, look at on your course outline is there. But if you don't want to, you can also pay to collect a friend's own or something. Just have the textbook so that you can follow the lessons. Okay. So just for you to know, see our week 1. This is our week 1. We were required to treat the topic thoughts as objects of scrutiny. And then week 2, we're supposed to engage contrasting facts and values. And we continue with that. So the specific lessons for those topics as presented in your textbook. Why the textbook? So we have a common reference, regardless of the group you are in. Okay, then it is a fair system of grading, a fair system of teaching and interacting, regardless of the group you are in. If for some reason you have a clash for the stipulated group you are in, then you are able to easily join consistently another group. You see, that is the rationale. So we don't have to force you to be stuck to a specific group's time of engagement, etc., etc. So we want you to have those options. My point though is that you cannot keep alternating from one group to the other because the sequence of delivery are not the same. Okay, but then your group doesn't change. Even as at this morning, I've responded to queries from students who are asking for change of group because it's clashing. There can't be clashes in this course. So keep helping your friends who perhaps joined us later or have been with us from start, but they just don't read or they are not following the course, which is not a good sign, you see. Okay, so those are just information. Now, what should you know in Unit 1? We gave you an introduction to critical thinking. I even gave you a link to a recorded session on that because maybe someone missed the in-person session or someone had to find himself in another physical lecture time for the week 1. Okay, but then week 2, he or she settles into this group and so needs something to look to. I just shared that for easy reference. You can always go to that record. And I even indicated start the playback from the 17th minute so that all the introductory parts that were specific to the group in question at that time, don't waste your time. See, so go to the 17th unit, 17th minute onwards, and then it will take you directly to content on board, introducing you to what critical thinking is, why critical thinking, you know, why is it topic neutral? We will ask you questions on that. Not just ask you questions, so you are going to learn to come and answer questions, but it is important for you to understand why the university makes that course a requirement, regardless of the specific, discipline you are in the university. Okay, so in this class, as you are seated, there are people from theater arts to music to religions to law to medicine, engineering. It's a mixture of different disciplines, and yet the focus here is to engage in a course called critical thinking and practical reasoning. Why? So you have to get that. We need to introduce you to that. And the content that was delivered for those weeks, even repeated online for you, and then a recorded session sent to you, aims at getting you that information, which I will examine you on. What are the skills that we seek to develop? Open-mindedness, critical ability, effective speaking. They are all there. So maybe if you miss those slides, after walking you through those lessons to help you navigate. Sometimes you know so much in terms of the content delivered, but you don't see where to place what. So I take my time to do this and then show you what you have covered and why you covered it and what will be expected of you and what you should take along into your specific discipline when you pass this course with your A gloriously and leave us we will still be in connection in terms of our critical evaluations and what have you. Okay, so understand what we've done so far. We've done some introduction to critical thinking. We reviewed the course outline together and highlighted important portions that some of you would never have seen it. So I keep taking you back there, and I want you to be ambassadors to your colleagues, especially when you find yourself in other platforms or even in your regular departmental platforms. If someone makes a query or seeks some, clarification on such matters, they say, "Oh, but we were told that we'll do it on site." Be an ambassador that way to help such people. We reviewed the course outline. Plagiarism will score you a 0, not even 1 mark. So I want students to be minded. You can't submit one same work and then your colleague also submit that. We will catch you. Don't take ideas or essays or paragraphs from people and come and present as yours. It's very embarrassing as an academic. Don't do it. We don't want to, groom students that have that posturing. It's like stealing. Exactly. Okay. So write out the idea. You can learn from others. You can read from others. You can take people's ideas that they are presenting that you feel are good argument. You feel are good argument. You see, but present them as yours. In other words, write it to capture what you are saying. We should see you in it. So, for example, Dr. Miles says so and so and so and so. And you think that what Dr. Miles says is relevant to what you are discussing. So you can reference Dr. Miles, but you say that in your words. If you want to say what she said verbatim, you have to quote her. And you can't quote more than a certain number of words. In academia, you can't do that. Then what did you bring? You see. So all I'm saying is don't go copy a paragraph. For example, why is it valuable to study critical thinking as an academic discipline? Then you go and Google or you look for someone's presentation and do a cut and paste. You cut some 2 lines, put it here, cut another one from somewhere. We will catch you. Some only change the font size. Okay. So I'm stressing that was captured heavily on your course outline. We don't want students that have been groomed to be thieves, taking people's ideas and owning it. Okay, you can present it as yours. So you can say that Miles argues that so and so and so. I would want to agree to the extent that she says so and so and so. However, in my view, I say so and so. So by the time you finish, you are perhaps re-echoing what was said by Miles, but you are presenting it as yours, which is okay. That's academia. Okay. There is nothing new under the sun. So perhaps what you are saying would have been said by someone, but you say it your way to capture what that other someone said. That's okay. All right. So course outline. Then we learned how to distinguish types of sentence shape thought. And then we recognize sentence fragments and emotive expressions. We have learned how to identify the different types of declarative sentences. And then we have emphasized the contrast between facts and values. We've done all of that for lesson 1. Okay. Now, right after that, then we went to lesson 2. So take note, see that units. The units refer to what is in your textbook. So see unit 1 and then unit 5.2. That is why some of you would be looking for, you see, when they see lecture 1, they think it is necessarily unit 1 alone. Then lecture 2, they think it's unit 2. No, you have to be guided by your course outline. It is presented in a way that makes learning easier and connects the units. So you don't have to be repeating content, okay? So unit 1 of your textbook and unit 5.2 discuss, those 2 units discuss what? The thought as object of scrutiny. You will see facts and values. Those who have the textbook can be referencing now. You see facts and values. By the time you do facts and values, you would have seen the 3 types of declaratives already. You would have seen factual statements, value judgment, and definitions. You would know that factual statements are capturing facts, whilst value judgments are prescribing values. Then you would see the point that unit 5.2 makes, okay, which only ties into what unit 1, section 3 or so, section 2 had done. Okay, so you learn them in tandem like this. Then you see that week 3, see the 3rd week, which was last week, we are expecting that you would have covered definitions. See that the units that are being referenced are unit 2 and then unit 3.1. Okay, what will be there? You see definitions, you see verbal dispute and substantive disagreement. So the specific lessons that will lead you to these topics. In other words, the lessons that you engage to cover these topics are what? The lesson on connotation and denotation. I'm sure you remember now. And then 6 types of definitions. I think you will remember those also. We engage open textured and well-defined terms. When do we say a word is open textured? When do we say it is well-defined? You see that some of your assignments are like that. They are trying to get your understanding of these concepts and how you are applying them. Okay. If people are contending over a word that is open textured, are we able to have a specific definition to resolve it? Perhaps not. Perhaps their disagreement will be what? Substantive and not what? Verbal. If the word in contention or the term they are contending over is not well defined, but it's open text. You see the connection? Yeah. So if they are engaging an open textured concept, then it's likely their dispute. Look on my screen, I keep projecting and emphasize. It's likely their dispute will not be merely verbal, it would likely be substantive. Okay. And then sometimes people seem to be giving meanings, but we find something wrong with the meanings they are giving, the definitions they are giving. You might think that the definitions are either vague, secular, narrow, or broad. On the screen, you see that we have captured that, so we did that. Okay. And so by week 3 last week, you should have covered all these: connotation, denotation, 6 types of definitions, open textured and well-defined, problems with definitions, verbal versus substantive disagreement. We did up to the 4th point in week 2. Okay, excuse me, in week 3, and then we shifted verbal dispute to the subsequent week. Okay. Now this is our 4th week. Week 4 on the screen now. It should help us do, this week should help us do, on the screen, please keep looking, Unit 3 and Unit 5.1. See how you study? So earlier we did Unit 5.2. It's not that the people who prepare the content for you are disorganized. They are just showing you how to connect the units. The whole of Unit 1 plays into portions of Unit 5.2. Now see what is happening here. The whole of Unit 3 would play into some content in Unit 5.1. So that by the time you do weeks 1 to 4, you would have covered Units 1, 2, 3, and 5. And you would have covered it very well. You will have examples in Unit 5 that ground the concept, the raw concepts in the earlier units. Okay. So Unit 4, what should you know? Contrasting types of discourse. We started that sometime last week. We did argument, narrative, instruction, and then what's the other one? Polemical rhetoric and rhetorical polemic. We engaged them in some detail last week. Then 6 senses of law. So these are the 2 main topics you should cover for your week 4. Which thankfully is today. So you will see that we have covered some grounds earlier, and that gives us time to mop up. Like I told you, we'll do last week. I told you we'll do that today. We'll mop up. That will fill in the gaps. We'll engage. It will be more interactive because you have been exposed to the content. So now you know where we're going to for these units. If your revisions show you that you didn't get a certain portion very well, it's a good time to engage. I saw 1 or 2 questions on the YouTube channel, the academic channel. I saw 1 or 2 in my emails. Some of them I was able to clear it off. Others I'll say bring it to class so that we can be a bit more detailed on it. Okay, so this is an opportunity to do that. What should you know in the units 3 and 5.1? You should be able to detect and correct what? Ambiguity, vagueness, and equivocation. These are 3 logical errors. Some call it vices. It's problematic use of language, even though sometimes you can use it in a useful manner. We tell you that it's problematic to be ambiguous. as a language person, and you are speaking and you're ambiguous, you cause people to misunderstand what you are saying or misinterpret what you meant, because one thing that has been said could have more than one meaning. Then vagueness is where you are extremely general about what you have said, that there is no specificity to it. You are not determinate, so we cannot tell what you mean. Okay, these are all confused ways of using language, but the confusions are different. For ambiguity, you are so clear, but your clarity points to two things, sometimes more. Okay, so it's not that we are worried that you are not specific, you are not determinate. You are very determinate, you are very specific, but your specificity points to more than one. So you said one thing, it means more than one, like we did last week. And so we say you are being ambiguous. Vagueness, you are not specific, you are indeterminate. Behold, I come soon. Soon can be 1 minute from now. Soon can be 100 million years from now. It's still soon. Any moment from now. So we saw some examples. They are all vague. The crime is what? You are being indeterminate, not specific, from the way you are speaking. Okay, and then equivocation is where you are repeatedly using one word, but whenever you use it, you switch from one of its meanings to the other. But you want to suggest that the meanings are the same, they coincide. That's the problem we have with that. So we engage that. Then we saw some illustrations of ambiguity and the six senses of the word law. This six senses of the word law is what you will see in Unit 5.1. Okay, law in the moral sense of it, as a divine code, as a mathematical, principle, as a logical one. These are all different connotations of the word law. If you played our video last week after the interaction, or if you were in the session, you know that we mentioned that how we correct or how we enforce these laws are not the same, even though they are all prescriptive. So today I'll engage you a little bit more on the normative sense and the empirical sense of the word law, all in the bid to show you how you can be ambiguous or you may be equivocal in the way you are using the word law. You may think you are referring to the same thing. When you say he has broken the law, we can't let him break the law and go scot-free. Well, which sense of the word law are we referencing? So we put that there to help you understand better equivocation and ambiguity. Okay. Then identifying types of discourse, I've already touched on that. And then arguments, the parts of arguments, and then the types of argument. I think the types of arguments, I just mentioned it, and I told you we'll engage it proper when we get to Unit 6, which is our next topic. Okay. So premises and conclusions have other names. Reasons. Premises can also be called reasons, can also be called evidence. And then conclusion can also be called what a claim. There is always only one friended conclusion. All the rest are claims. So you see, if you were following consistently, you will know that even though today is now our 4th week proper, we have actually covered everything. I say now because the weekend in person, we take it to be introductory. So these are the times we've had together and we've engaged everything. If we were to move on, and I intended to move on, if I intended to, then today we'll be doing Unit 6, deduction versus induction. But that's quite a substantive unit. We don't want to rush you too much. We want to give you inklings and, leads, prompts on those units to prepare your mind before you engage it, because they are content that you would see in your midsem, 30 points, and also in the final exam. If we don't set you off well, then you may get a bit jittery when you engage. And that is the reasoning bit of critical thinking. The earlier units we've been engaging so far are the language bit. You are just looking at the language, the raw materials that the critical mind uses. But from Unit 6, 7 onwards, you'll be doing reasoning. That is arguing, moving from the premises to the conclusion and checking whether it is valid, invalid, cogent, sound, and stuff like that. And that can be quite engaging. So we'll take it a little bit at a time. Now, let me take all questions that you may have. Because of our numbers, I would want to prompt again. Let's be a little bit organized so that we can have a beneficial time together. We have over 300 students already. I see 313. So imagine if everyone is just, all over the place, then we won't benefit. Okay. So if you have questions, let's put all the hands up. I have walked you through Unit 1. to our unit 5 currently. Keep your hands up. I'll look at the number of hands up that want questions answered to inform how much time I would spend on one. Okay, so I see 2 hands now. I'll take them, and then if we need to walk through the slides again as mop-up, we will do that. Let me take Emanuela Adade first. Excuse me, Manuela Adade. Then afterwards, I take Irama Dub. Manuela, go ahead.
Madam, please, the value judgment, the moral and non-moral.
Yes,
I don't really understand it.
Okay, how do you understand it first, so that I can use that to clear your confusion?
Okay, so I know that the value judgment is the moral and the non-moral is like you want to know how the thing is.
You want to know how what, please? Speak up a little. Yeah. When do we say value, okay? Sorry, go ahead.
The value judgment is like you are prescribing something or someone.
So you are prescribing how something should be done.
Yes.
Okay, so you are talking about how it should, not how it is done, but how it should be done. It is wrong to do this. It is good to do that. He's corrupt. She's impolite. Language like that is not stating the fact, something that we can objectively agree on, like what I have on the screen now is factual statement. Okay, that one is describing what is there. That bachelor is sitting under the tree sleeping. It could be that the person sitting under the tree is not sleeping. It's not even a bachelor. But how do we determine that? We can determine that via our 5 senses. We use our 5 senses to either see, hear, touch, taste, or smell to confirm whether it is true or false. So it's factual. Amma is a girl. That's a factually true or factually false statement. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. That is factually true or factually false. What does that mean when we say it is factually something? It is factually means observation can help us, regardless of our point of views, our cultural baggage, our religious background, what have you. They don't come in. They are a matter of fact, observation based on our senses. We see it, we hear it, we touch it, we smell, etc. Okay, so that is factual. Its opposite, if you like, would be the value judgment. So that takes us to Emanuela's question. Okay, value judgment is not a matter of fact. It's not senses. It is what I think should be the definition of the thing. Should. So I'm not describing what is there. I'm prescribing what should be there. Okay. If I say the wicked drive, I use value terms like wicked, like wrong, like innocent. These are not objective terms. They are subjective. The subject speaking, subject, the human being, the person speaking's point of view is imputed. You force your point of view onto the thing. Okay. So again on the screen, let me see. If I say, Amma is a beautiful girl. Amma is a beautiful girl. If I said Amma is a girl, that would have been a factual matter. Can be factually true or factually false, at least based on the objective point we use to determine who a girl is or who, and so on like that. Okay, but if I say she's a beautiful girl, that is not objective. It's subjective. It depends on who is watching. You see, it depends. So when I introduce the value word beautiful, the value term beautiful into the expression, it makes this whole declarative, this whole statement, remember the other names for declarative, it makes it a value judgment. Okay. And then see example 7, he's a good boxer. Here again, I've introduced good. The guy I call a good boxer, for another person, may be the worst boxer he or she has ever seen. That's why we have different boxers we support, and different football teams we support, and different political parties we support, because of the perspectives, point of views, different religions, see, different hairstyles, ladies, different shoe types or brands, different cars. People drive different cars. People want different phones. Sometimes it's because we don't have the money to. But at other times, people have it, but they think that this is good. This drink is better than the other. Oh, I think I prefer this one to this, okay? Their preferences, their point of view. So here again, we have, he's a good boxer, good. It's a value term. Then the earlier one, we can have, he's a wicked driver. It's also a value term, negative one, of course. Now, when, according to Emanuela's question, when would we say that we are dealing with, on the screen now, a value judgment that is moral in posture versus a value judgment that is non-moral? Okay, it's a very important question. Now look at the question of morality. I create few scenarios to help my students get the point. I have a philosophy background, and philosophers are already questioning a lot of the assumptions we hold in society. We are subjecting it to scrutiny, critical scrutiny. So we don't like giving generalizations. Okay, otherwise I would have just said a moral claim has to do with what is right or wrong to the human being. But that can be contested, okay? Because what is right in Rome may not be right in Ghana. What the Sharia law may say is good may not be right by the 10 Commandments, you see. So as soon as you make moral claims that suggest universality, as a philosophical mind, I'll start raising questions because it will depend on who is speaking. So there's the relativism view and the universalism view and all that. That is why we don't want to straightforwardly say, oh, when it is a moral value judgment, then it is dealing with human prescriptions of a kind. But then what will be a good guide to help you as a student distinguish a value judgment that is morality inclined versus one that is not making any moral claim? So let us help ourselves here. Look, if a goat, for instance, stole your corn or went to your farm, a grass cutter, let's use a grass cutter, went to your farm and ate some of your growing corn, and you cut the grass cutter, will you take the grass cutter to court? And dear friends, you were bathing, then the goat comes to eat your soap, local bathroom. I want the local Ghanaian setting. So you have put your soap on the wall there, you are bathing. And then a goat comes and carries your soap. Are you going to arrest the goat? A dog comes to steal your meat, or no, dogs don't eat meat. Maybe a cat comes to steal your fish. You don't arrest the cat and take the cat to court. Why? Because we think that the cat is not a moral agent. It's not able to make the decision of what is right or wrong. So morality, one main categorization would be to say that the issue in question, where the value judgment has been made, the judgment is being made on the rightness or wrongness of an act that has implications on human life and its well-being. See, it has implications. That again is still relatively general, but it helps to at least make a categorization clear, the distinction between what is a moral value judgment and what is a non-moral one. So look at the examples which may help bring it out better. If I say abortion is evil, on your screen, I'm using the examples on your screen, the evil I'm using makes this statement a value judgment, because for another person, abortion is not evil. It depends. If the woman's life is in danger, you're a medical doctor, okay? This is a husband and a wife. The woman has three children already. She's going for her fourth. And then by the sixth week or something, we see that the baby's pushed to the whatever, it's not a baby yet, it's still a blood clot, but where the thing is can cause harm to the woman. The doctor or medical professional can prescribe what? Abortion. In fact, induced one, one that you abort the child. So if this abortion is evil, can be true for one person, can be false for the other. This claim. it will be a point of view matter. It's a judgment you are making. How do we know that? The use of what? Evil. If I said the girl coming from the consulting room is going to have an abortion, that would be a factual matter. It could be factually true or factually false. Said the girl coming from the consulting room is going to have an abortion this afternoon. It's a factual matter. I've not made a prescription. I'm describing what is there. It could be that what I'm saying is factually false. It could be factually true, but it is a matter of fact. It's a factual statement. Okay. However, if I said abortion is evil, or the girl going to do abortion is a bad girl, I just made a judgmental statement. Okay. So first of all, it is a value judgment. Which type will this one be? It is making a statement that has moral implications, morality, human life, and its well-being, okay, with moral connotations. There I go, being tautologous, okay. So this is, abortion is evil, is a moral, is a value judgment. Yes, which type? Is a moral one. It's making a statement of morality, has implications on human life and its well-being, okay, with moral connotations. That is why we say it's a moral value judgment. Look at the second one. You should not talk back at your supervisor. You should not. It is another way of saying it is wrong to talk back at your supervisor. You don't talk back. When the person says, you say back. When he says, you say, it's your supervisor. Do you know what he cannot make you? So you don't do that. So if I'm telling someone that I'm prescribed, it means I'm making a judgment of how the person is behaving. You shouldn't. It is wrong too. That is also what a value judgment is. Which type? A moral one. I'm prescribing on how that human person should behave or shouldn't behave. Now, the other two sets are the non-moral value judgment examples I gave you. The first one says he is a good boxer. There again, because I've used good, that becomes a value judgment. But which one is it? This one is not making any prescription on the morality of human behavior, the rightness or wrongness of human life that has moral connotations, implications on human life. That is not what is going on. My phone has a good screen. I'm using good, so it's a value judgment, but it's a non-moral one. Okay. So that is how I would want to help Emanuela and everyone that falls within her frame. Thank you very much. Let's take Irama Dugbe now. Afterwards, I can take Kobe Wells, and then next on the line will be Mawina Ephraim. Irama Dugbe, go ahead.
Hey, Madam, please, my question is on real definitions.
Okay, real definitions. What is the question? Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted a clarification on what that one means, real definition.
Okay, so how do you understand it now? Because I've already done the lecture, so I don't want to repeat lecture. I want to help you clarify the confusion. So what exactly is your confusion? You understand? How do you understand real definitions currently?
In real definitions, like the unknown is you can replace the known in every context. That's how I understood it.
So what don't you understand? Because what you have said is correct. If it is a real definition, then wherever you use the definiendum, you can replace it with the definiens. There won't be any confusion. So for example, if I said a bachelor is an unmarried adult male, the reason why that is not a real definition is because sometimes I use the word bachelor, but it doesn't mean an unmarried adult male. It could mean a degree that I earned in the university. You see, so my use of a real, for me to determine whether I have a real definition at all, I have to ask, can I replace the definiendum with the definiens wherever I use the word? See the alternative names for real definition. We call it eliminative definition. Can I eliminate the definiendum and put in the definiens and still the meaning won't change? If that can happen, then that definition I'm using is a real one. When I say the meaning won't change, the meaning won't change in that very discipline. If I'm doing maths, wherever I see even number, it means what? A number that divides two equally without a remainder. That is what it means in maths. You can't have your own definition to even number or prime number or square root, you see. That is why the concepts in mathematics, for example, are described as what? Well-defined concepts. They clearly show you their denotations without any ambiguity, because you can't have your own way of defining those concepts. No, you can't. There can be alternative ways to it. Their concepts are closed. So see the connection. Well-defined concepts are also described as what? Closed concepts. Why? Because their definiendums and their definiens are interchangeable without any contention. That's why we don't say they are essentially contestable. Remember all that. See, when we have a well-defined concept, they are not essentially contestable. Their concepts are closed concepts in that discipline. It doesn't allow for alternative points of views of that concept. You can have your own, okay? Like logic. Deduction is strictly defined as it is. Modus ponens, you see them in Unit 6. But when you have a definition that is not real, in other words, for the other concepts, they are what? Open class concept, or essentially contestable concepts. See on the screen now. These concepts, even within that same discipline, there are different renditions of them. There are different ways of defining them. Look at democracy. Some call it freedom of speech. In that discipline, if it's political science, we are doing politics. Democracy, for some, is freedom of speech. For others, is the rule of the people, democratia. For some, it is what? Self-rule. Whatever the self refers to, we can't even tell. It's a system. The discipline allows for what? Different perspectives to that concept. That is how rich it is. That's how rich the discipline is. It's not a soldier line, a deductive study like logic and maths and some aspects of physics are. No. So when you're doing sociology, for example, when you're doing psychology, political science, most of our concepts are intentionally open class concepts. That means they are not real definitions. Whenever you see, I'm pointing at something on the screen, you see family, you should think family means biological relation, not necessarily. Because at church, we say, my brothers and sisters in the Lord. But the people there don't share my blood group. That's why when the sister of the church is admitted at the hospital and is looking for blood, it's not the pastor's blood necessarily that goes to her. But if you are sick at home and your father and your mother, biological parents, are there, they can give you blood, because that sense of family is not the same sense of family we use at church, or the family sense, that word connotation of a family that people think they have with their dogs, and so on and so forth. Something that Africans, we are one family, we have to come together, and so on. So look at the different connotations. That's why we studied connotations in Unit 2, the beginning part of Unit 2, for you to understand that this one word, family, in such a discipline can have what? Different connotations, and therefore it's an open class concept or open textured term whose essence, see on the screen, can be contested. It's an essentially contestable term. So I may think of justice, I'm going to move to a third concept. I may think of justice as what? Treating everyone equally. Another person may say, no, justice cannot be equal treatment. We are in law now, okay? Law or politics. Someone say, no, it can't be just to treat everyone equally. It's rather just to treat people fairly, fair. That means if the person's need is pressing, meet them, let them jump the queue. That's what happens at the hospital. Okay, so someone comes, it's an emergency case. You don't say, oh, first come, first serve. A sister came with a pimple issue on her cheek. She wants it to, one pimple be sitting at the left side of the cheek. That's why she's come to see the doctor. Another person comes with her heart pumping out because of an accident. The heart has come out. It has to be put in back and stage. You say she came to meet you, so she should join the queue. Really? Another person is in labor. Baby is coming out. You say pimple came first. And labor. So you get the point. So this person's argument is that no, we can't think of justice that way. Justice should rather be this. So you see that for such concepts, they don't have real definitions. Why? Because the nature of the concept is that it is what? Open textured or essentially contestable. And the more we engage on trying to fine-tune and discover the real meanings of that, the better we are at it. That is what philosophy does. philosophical reflection. We try to ask questions that will help us shape and clarify what we thought fidelity was, being a fidel person. When we say he's an infidel, depending on the belief system you hold on to, and I like to use the church one. For certain church folks, having one wife plus a girlfriend is a problematic matter, very problematic. I belong to that. You can't have a garden in addition to your farm. But for others, one man, 5 women, 5 wives. Every wife is happy because they don't consider that house as infidelity. Is it not one religion? Or better, is it not religion? Is it not one faith? It's not a faith question, but see the different connotations. And so infidelity or fidelity, development, what does it mean to be developed? That concept is not a closed concept, where it has a clearly defined, well-defined, real definition for development. Which one is that? Some have high-rise buildings, but they are so morally corrupted that a man's wife is his sheep. Someone is married to the dog. That's the kind of society that society is, you see. But they believe they are developed. So if you use the word development and you think it has a real definition that Irama is asking, you have a problem. If it is a real definition, it must be ideal definition, perfect, ideal guy. When we say we are looking for an ideal guy, it means you are looking for a perfect guy. Tell students all the time, ladies, you are looking for an ideal guy. They are in heaven. They are dead and gone. Check answer. Enoch. Enoch is one of them. Enoch of the Bible. He was so perfect. God came to carry him away. He didn't die. He's in heaven. So you may want to consider dying to find them. Perfect guys. Enoch, Abraham. Who else? They're all dead and gone. On this earth, they are problematic guys. They have to manage, just like they are problematic ladies. So just for you to have a fair idea of what real definitions are, they are perfect. They don't have any flaw. And they are also called eliminative. I explained that you can replace the finiendum and the finiens everywhere you use that one word. The meanings won't change. And then they're also called essential definitions, essence, that which makes the word what is it. It is, without which it ceases to be what it is. Okay, these different ways of referencing real definitions should tell you why they are not common. If it is perfect, you won't find them easily. If it is eliminative, it means wherever you see the definiendum of that word, it must replace its definition. If it's essential, it means it captures the essence of the word. None of these are easy to come by. So I use the well-defined and open text to show you. So real definitions, my dear Lady Rama, are common in deductive studies. And the reason why they are there, like in maths and in logic, it's not because maths and logic are superior. I'm a logician, so don't let it bother. It's not because, it's because that discipline is empty of content. These disciplines are not dealing with actual content. You will understand that when we do unit 6 and 7. Maths and logic are only dealing with the form, the pattern, the structure. If this happens, then this will follow. This has happened. Therefore, in the way we think, this must follow. But it may not. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. What we mean by 2, what we mean by plus, and what we mean by 3, and what we mean by equal to will also mean 5. It is just definitions, empty, raw structures that we are putting in place to help us think. So they are just how we think. That's why those concepts don't allow for alteration. It is man-made, it's normative. Okay? However, when I say it's man-made, we prescribe it. We say that is how we should add. So when you have 2 and you add 3, it must be equal to 5. Okay? But I asked you during the lecture, you may have 2 spoons of porridge. Then you add 3 spoons of porridge. It will become 1 spoon, or excuse me, 1 ladle of porridge. I'm trying to confuse your 2 plus 3 equals 5 to show you that 2 plus 3 could be equal to 1 if you changed the working tools. So 2 spoons of orange plus 3 spoons of orange can become 1 ladle of orange. 2 plus 3 could become. That is why. So the concepts are based on a certain rule. That is how we are using it. So I'm saying that if you have 2 spoons and you add 3 spoons, then it must be equal to 5 spoons. I'm presupposing spoons throughout. The concept of maths and logic are closed. It simply means that is how we want to use our terms here. We don't want you to bring alternative views. So we'll say, well, then stay in your container and do stuff. For the logician, for example, if I say all men, okay, whoever studies passes exam. Kofi has studied, therefore he must pass exam. The logic follows. That's modus ponens. But in actual life, whenever people study, they pass. Yes, we've heard you. Is that even necessarily true? No. Some study, they never pass. They never even get to write the exam because they never get school fees to even write. You see, so the principle, whenever you study, you will pass. Kofi has studied, therefore he will pass, which is valid by modus ponens deductively. It's not necessarily the case in actuality. If it rains, the ground will get wet. It has rained, therefore the ground will get wet. Modus ponens valid. But it can rain, and because of where the building is, the canopy is, it can rain and that ground will never get wet. I'm talking about the actuality of it may not necessarily follow the pattern. So people should not be overly, extremely, shouldn't feel superior when we say that these deductive concepts or deductive studies have well-defined concepts. It only means that they show you how our thought is structured. Okay, and it doesn't allow for alternatives so that we can have pillars on which to reason. And so concepts in these disciplines, also some aspects of physics, are closed. They don't permit alternative views. But that is not a way to say that those disciplines are superior to others or something, not at all. Rather, if you ask me, disciplines that use open textured or open class concept allow for progress, quote and unquote. Why? Because we are always thinking around what we thought justice is, what we think democracy should mean, what is development, how do we measure growth? What is growth? Is growth the same as maturity? Your textbook gives you quite a number of such open class concepts. As you engage them, you are able to produce, content, to produce outcomes that are useful for everyday life. Okay, and that's what sociology, psychology, humanity, all the humanities courses, law, what have you, are trying to do. We are trying to generate what academic content that is useful for everyday life. All right, thank you, Rama. I hope that helps. Now I can take Kobe Wills. After him, I'll take Marina Ephraim. If you just joined us, the reason why we are taking questions is that we have covered so much. The recording is there. When we finish, we'll send it for you. So we are taking mop-up questions to close those concerns. Kobe, go ahead.
Okay, Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Doc, please, when you were taking us through the course outline,
yes,
acknowledging ambiguity, you said something that it states clear meaning, but in the note you gave us, you said the note or
what
the
exactly is your question so that I help you? No, don't worry. So what is your question?
Yeah,
You get it?
my question is not necessarily clear, like because you get to have two meanings, so you have to think.
Which one is this? Ambiguity, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me react. So one of your colleagues asked me, Doc, so what then is the difficulty? How do we distinguish the problem we have with ambiguity from the one we have with equivocation and maybe even for vagueness? That was the student's question because she felt that all of them were problematic uses of language. We are saying that in all of them, we should be clear. We should bring clarity because ambiguity is not clear, equivocation is not clear, vagueness is not clear. That's the problem we have. So then it means it might be difficult for students to tell when our problem is ambiguity and when is it equivocation and when is it vague. To help you see that, my response is this. I said, look at the problem that we call ambiguity. I'm projecting that and I hope you can see it, please. Hey, am I projecting it to you? I'm just projecting to myself. Please, can you see my ambiguity screen? Thank you. So I was saying that if we criticize someone for being ambiguous, it simply means that the person has spoken in a certain way. What he has said, it is clear to us listen, I'm using that to help you see how distinct ambiguity is from vagueness. For ambiguity, the person has spoken.
You can see.
Oh,
We can
you can see
that.
diagnosing ambiguity.
No.
Okay, let me reshare it then. I want you to see my screen. You have all of them already, but because I'm responding to Kobe, I want to. Now I'll reshare. Let me go back. Okay, I'm saying that I want you to see when we say that. Can you see it now? Diagnosing ambiguity.
No, please.
No.
Yes.
You
Yes,
can't
yes.
see diagnosing ambiguity.
Can see.
Yes.
They can see it now. Okay. Okay, thank you. So those who hadn't seen it yet, wait a while, it will come. I think it's network. I'm saying that I'm helping someone who doesn't see the difference between vagueness. When we say someone is vague, and then when we say someone is ambiguous, the person says, Doc, but both of them, the speaker is not clear. So when will we say that this unclear speech is an ambiguous one? And when will we say that this unclear speech is a vague one? So I tell her, no, hold on. When we say that someone is ambiguous, think of it this way. The person speaking has spoken clearly. Our reason for saying it is unclear is this. The clarity in her speech points us to two meanings. Okay, sometimes it's more, but let me use two for clarity to help you. Okay, the person spoke in a certain way. We can clearly see what she's saying, just that it points to two different meanings. That is when we say it's ambiguous. Okay, so for example, students cook and serve grandparents. You saw this when we discussed. Students cook and serve grandparents. Well, yes, what the person is saying is that students cooked some food and served that food to their grandparents. That's one of the meanings I can get from this expression. Students cook and serve grandparents. They cooked maybe banku or okra stew, and then put that banku and okra stew in bowls and put it in front of grandpa and grandma and told them, Grandpa, eat for me. And grandpa and grandma ate. That's one meaning. Or it could also mean the one that we don't want to even hazard a thought of. That's what? They cut grandma's ears, cut grandpa's arms, and used it to prepare food and aponchikakra, fufu and soup. They used the parts of grandma and grandpa. They cut them virtually into pieces and use them to cook food. This is the second meaning we can put to what the expression on the screen. What is the expression? Students cook and serve grandparents. So we are saying that for ambiguity, there's clarity in what the person said, but we criticize them as being unclear. Why? Because their clarity points us to two things. So the unclarity here is we are saying you have spoken without any problem. The only issue we have with you is that now what you have said could mean A, it could also mean B. Okay, so when we say they are not clear, when we say an ambiguous statement simply means the person is not clear. This is what we mean, that the person actually spoke in a way that points to more than one meaning. To help this other student who cannot see the difference between ambiguity problem and vagueness problem. Now that is ambiguity. So you have spoken one thing, but what you have said could point to one or two other meanings. So we say then clarify which of the meanings you are referencing and we'll be at peace. Okay. However, when we say someone is vague, that one, the person hasn't even been clear enough to specify anything. Our crime is the person is not specific on the screen now. So a word is vague when its intended meaning is indeterminate, not specific. So here we put unclear. Someone can also say the ambiguous person is unclear. What do you mean by unclear when you are talking ambiguity? Oh, I mean that she points to A and she points to B. Those are the two options available. There's a clear set of references that the person's speech points to. There's clarity in that. Is A or B? Both of them apply. And I'm asking the speaker, please, you are ambiguous. Specify. Okay? So here, there's clarity in the reference point, but there is unclarity in which exactly he means. That is what we find wrong with a speaker who is being ambiguous. When we come to vague, the person is not even pointing to anything specific there for us to go and look and get confused about A and B. No, it's vague. Vague means it's indeterminate, it's non-specific. That is what I was trying to help this other person who asked, and I'm sure one or two of you will have the same concern, that when we say you are vague, it's extremely general, that there is no specific pointers. That is even confusing us, okay? The provost said he will be here any moment from now. We say any moment from now is vague. It's vague. It's vague. It refers to everything from 1 minute to 1,000 minutes from today. 2,000 years from today is still captured in this statement. It means if the provost comes 2,000 years from today, he has not lied to you. He said any moment from now. So as a critical mind, if you were going to IMF, for example, you are a minister for something, and you are going to negotiate, or you are a legal luminary, you are trying to settle a family dispute, or some married couples have come before, stuff like that. And the people are writing, or a police officer, and someone is writing their statement, and you write, any moment from now, this can ask for specificity, because this is vague. The person can play you with this language, either positively or negatively. When are you going to, pay something for the upkeep of the children? These are two people who are contemplating divorce. So the man and the woman are separating. We don't want that, but maybe you're a lawyer, I have to settle that. So we ask the man, commit to the terms of how much will you pay this woman for the upkeep of those 6 children you have born? And when will you do that? They say, any moment from now. I mean, when we settle this, any moment from now. If you are a lawyer, I don't seek for clarity. That brother, any moment from now. How many if you caught 30 years, if he brings 10 Ghana, he hasn't faulted in the agreement, because he said any moment from now. Now that is vague. Okay. The other one is, if people are not getting job, then they are not looking hard enough. We showed you our problem with that. How should they look hard enough? What does it mean to look hard enough? It's vague. It's not clear. And the problem we have when we say it's not clear, it's not like the ambiguity one. Ambiguity one, it points to more than one. So there are options given us, all of which apply. So we say it is not clear because we don't know which of the given options apply now. Okay, that is the problem we have when we say unclear with ambiguity. But with vagueness, when we say it is unclear, it is not because you have given us options, more than one option. No, as for vagueness, you haven't given any option because everything can enter. It's so general. All right, so I think that that will help our boss who asked the question, Kobe Wills. Let me take, there was a next name, Mawina, if I saw right, please. There was a Mawina hand. If you are sorted, then I can take Abed Dako. Abed Dako, go ahead. Albert, are you with us? Please go ahead. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. Please, I want to ask whether when you are describing these statements, that is, human beings are the only animals that are accountable before the law.
Human beings are the only animals that are accountable before the law. Okay, what do you think? I think this is someone's question, a group's question that they engage. Don't bring me group any essay question that you have been given to respond to. You go ahead.
Okay, so I want to ask whether which statement it is in terms of declarative, everything. So
please, this is an essay question. This is an essay question that has been given to a group to do. So I'm unable to give you answers for others to go and produce as an answer to my colleague. I don't think that is fair. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But if you want to make how do I say it? You want to present your view about that, I'll listen, but I will not be able to say it is this or that, because that is not fair. It's like I've given you work and then you have taken it to my colleague in another group to help you answer. Then people want to produce an answer for it. You see that? Okay. All right. So maybe when the thing is done, the assessments are done, we can discuss it. And then I'm able to tell you. But you think around it. Is this a prescription or a description, or it could be both? And why? It's always the why. You see, some of our questions that we are giving you, like my essays, some may say it's verbal dispute, some may say it's substantive disagreement. I want to see why you say what you say. That is where I'm able to tell whether the student is critically thinking or is just following and parroting what he or she has heard. Okay. So after that, we can engage. Thank you, Albert. Let's take Marky Noah. Marky Noah, I think, yeah. Please, those who have been attended to, if you could just drop your hands, it will help me. We are taking questions from Unit 1 all the way to Unit 3. Excuse me, Units 3 and 5. Go ahead, Marky Noah.
What question could be asked?
Yes, please. Come again. I missed portions of what you were saying, please, Marky.
I said I'm clear now.
Oh, you
I
are
wanted
clear.
to ask the question.
Noah asked. Okay, so just a little addition again. So when we say ambiguity is unclear, we just mean that it points to, there's clarity in what it is pointing to, but it is unclear in terms of what specifically the author's speech is referencing. So I think that will help you, so that you don't think that then they are all unclear there. Then why do we say one is ambiguous and why do we say one is vague? One is ambiguous, we still say it is unclear because ambiguity means that speech is pointing to more than one option. So we say it is unclear. The unclear here is referencing what it is pointing to. Whereas vague, we describe vague as unclear simply because it is not even giving us options at all. What has been said doesn't point to anything. It's extremely open-ended, that it doesn't point to anything. Okay, so I can now take Johnson or Tre. Afterwards, I can. Bonesman, is that your name? I will take Johnson or Tre. I see Eddie Lewis. I see Amoa Emanuela again. And then I see Isaac Tete. So let's take Johnson or Tre first. Then we can follow in that order. Go ahead. Johnson, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, please. Yes, I wanted to ask about open texted concepts. How we will be able to adjust or correct such problem.
What do you think? So you argue it's just like a substantive disagreement. Okay. So if the concept, like the ones I showed on the screen when we were discussing our friends on earlier, if we are discussing justice, or we are thinking of development, maybe politicians we have met at United Nations, something, we are discussing development. Okay, IMF, Monetary Fund, we want to consider how to bring development, quote and unquote, say Africa or Ghana or something. The concept we are dealing with, development, must be clear to the two parties. It must be clear in our minds that it is not a well-defined concept. Okay, that is what sometimes perhaps I think we, the so-called, and why do we call certain nations developed with, past tense, Agbina, developed, whilst we think others are developing nations. Which nation ever finishes developing so that it will qualify for the label developed, are finished? There isn't any. But perhaps we are not opening out the discussion along those lines. We may say that some have advanced in terms of X, Y, or Z aspects of their society, whilst others have not done so and so and so. That's fair. But when you call a whole society or certain kinds of nations develop, the cons folks amongst us and the politicians, the different disciplines we have, you should interrogate those basic assumptions on which societal systems are built. Because if you are going to engage two people are going to engage, and one thinks of itself as a developed nation, and another agrees that it is now developing, then already from start, you see that one will call the shots and others will have to follow. So what? So how do you, resolve, if you like, quote and unquote, or bring some clarity to the actuality of the debate in question, where we have an open text. That's where we do argument in a thread. Argument is you present evidence to make a claim, to support a claim that you are making. Okay, so let's go to argument quickly, unit 3. I want to show you the slides on that. You should present reasons why something is or is not the case. You cannot go and say, oh, I don't think that they should think of us that way. I don't think what they are saying is right. I don't support it. And no. Then you are just talking. You don't have reasons to support why you say what you say. That's what argumentation is for. Presenting on our screen now, presenting evidence to support the claim or the conclusion you are drawing. Ultimately, you would have to have agreed, you would have to have presented a certain conclusion, a certain claim. So you may be saying that, look, justice must not be considered as one, given every region what it is, giving every region equal amount of resources. No, perhaps that will not be just. Perhaps we will have to give according to the needs. You see, so at our local table, Africa, the fathers will get the proteins, plenty. Then the children who rather need the proteins to grow at table will get small one if they are lucky. Typically African, their father is already grown. We knew he has already healed. There's too much protein in the system. It's even becoming a sickness. So the fish, big fish, should be on the small child's or mutuo, rice balls, soup, big fish. Give it to the child. Give daddy small slice of fish for taste. That's all. Then you are thinking. My brother, so my answer simply is for you to be able to bring clarity. I hope I'm not, okay, I've seen the questions. I don't think I'm answering any person's question. Argumentation helps to do that. You present evidence to support the claim you are making. And then another person may have a better argument. So we'll look at types of arguments when we are ending. Some will argue deductively, some will argue inductively to bring out their views and show you why you should perhaps have a second thought about what you think justice is or development is or what family should be and stuff like that. It's all about presentation of arguments. You don't force it down people's throats. Thank you. Let's take Eddie Lewis. Then afterwards, I'll take Bonesman. Is that your name? Don't like you. Go ahead, Eddie. Eddie Lewis, go ahead. You are muted, so you may want to unmute first and then go ahead. This Eddie Lewis, okay. Eddie Lewis, are you there? If you are not there, then let's take Bonesman. Bonesman, go ahead.
Hello. Okay,
go ahead.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning. I don't want to believe that your name is Bonesman. Is that your name?
It's accidental.
So when you are done, kindly put your official name there, okay? Give us an official access and go ahead, Bonesman. Then after we can take Eddie Lewis. Go ahead.
Hello, Doc. Madam.
Please don't. Let's take Bonesman first. Eddie Lewis, we waited for you for a while, so don't worry. We'll give you the opportunity. But let's take Bonesman now. Then we'll come to Eddie, okay?
Madam, an example like a good life depends on a liver. Have you seen it? Yes. In this example, I think a good life is. Can I consider a good life as a vague?
What do you think?
I said, like a good life.
I know. I heard you. I'm just asking you. What do you think?
Yeah, because
because I want to know your thoughts. Yeah.
Yes, please. To me, I see it as a vague.
Why? What is your reason? Or what are your reasons?
Because you don't know how good the life is.
Because it can refer to several things. I've heard you.
Yeah.
That's your reason. I can agree with you to an extent. Yes.
Yes, and then deliver to maybe an organ or a living person. So in this statement, I think we have a vague and then the ambiguity in one statement. So how will I know whether if
how will you know whether what?
If it is a vague or an ambiguity.
But must it be only one and not the other?
Come again.
Must it be one and not the other? You know how one person can be sick of constipation and would also have stomach upset?
Yeah, sure.
So you don't have to necessarily see only one error. Sometimes there are multiple errors. In fact, some factual statements are value judgments as well. Some interrogatives are actually imperatives as well. We have gone through that, explicit and implicit meanings of expressions. Okay, so all we are giving you are the various errors you can find, so that when you find one expression, then you know that this thing, the man's speech, he said, the hen also knows when the sun rises, but it is the cock that crows. That can be a value judgment. It could be an imperative as well. It could even be an information. It could be this. It could be, so that is what we are grooming you to be, not to give you answers, really. Okay. So it's good that you can tell that that one expression can be this or can also be that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bozeman. Let's take Eddie Lewis. Please, all those who have been attended to, can you put your hands down? I want to see the rest. Eddie, go ahead now, please. We are waiting, Eddie. Eddie Lewis, you have unmuted, though, but you're not speaking, or I cannot hear you. I hope. Oh dear, go ahead. Okay, he's muted again. Let's take Lois or Henny in team. Lois, go ahead. After you can take Clement. Lois, can you hear me, please?
Hello, madam.
Go ahead.
Please explain the difference between ambiguity and vagueness. As what of ambiguity and equivocation?
Okay, so we did that also. Did you play back, or you are not directly a group member, but you just visited us today?
Please, I'm a group member, but last week I couldn't join.
But I shared the video link, the interactive link. Did you play it back, please?
Please, I've not gotten the opportunity to do that.
You should. Okay, thank you. I'll attempt at helping you, but you should, please, sincerely. That's why it takes us a lot of time. I'm talking to the class now to get the uploads done. Otherwise, you will know so much, my dear friends, but you may not do well in critical thinking. Okay. Alternatively, we would have just recorded lectures and then shared that with you, and you won't have us live like this to interact with you. But we go through that extent so that students can always have something to rely on. Then this course doesn't become a hindrance to their actual, discipline that they are here for. If you don't pass this and pass with a good grade, you are not graduating. Even an E will not let you go, but an E in your regular department can let you go. That E is up to 49 over 100. They say the university still says you haven't passed, go and take it again. Okay. So I really want you to have a posture that wants to fill the gap. If you missed it, no problem. But that is why I go to the extent of sharing the recording. So let's go quickly to those slides and see if we can help ourselves there. Equivocation and ambiguity. I think that is what is on the screen now. So I'll go quickly to that slide. What we said was, if you're ambiguous, you are giving us one expression. I'm coming. I'm finding that slide. Hold on. I'm finding that slide. Okay. Yeah. So, did you see ambiguity, equivocation, vagueness?
Yes, madam.
So it's the same set. I'm referring to lecture 3. We are on that one. So I'll just find you quickly. This is ambiguity, pointing to two different meanings, even though you said one thing. So some examples there still on ambiguity. We saw students who look at this one, which I love to show because it really can be very ambiguous. The St. Martin's Episcopal Church thing that said, we love hurting people. My sister, where is my lady who has the question? I think it was
Lois.
Lois, thank you so much. Lois, you see what is on the screen now? It says, we love hurting people. This is an example of ambiguity. Lois, can you give me why, or can you explain to me why you think this is ambiguous from what we have done so far? Not to put you on the spot, but just to help you come along quickly. Okay. Why would we say this is ambiguous? Yeah, go ahead.
It could mean we love people who are hurting, or it could mean we love inflicting pain on people.
Excellent. So because of these two possible meanings we can read into this one statement, we'll criticize this as ambiguous. So you understand ambiguity. Now, when we say people are equivocal, there we are repeating one word's use differently. I have projected something on this. It's one word that has been repeated. But whenever we repeat it in our argumentation or in the passage, we refer to another meaning of that word, another connotation of that same word. So one word can have several meanings. That's not a problem. That is in itself is not equivocation. But where you use the different meanings or the different connotations of this one same word interchangeably, you oscillate from one to the other without signaling to the audience. In other words, you make it look as if those different meanings of that same word are the same. Then we say you are being equivocal. Okay. So for example, noisy children are a real headache. Now I'm reading what is on the screen. 2 aspirins will make a headache go away. Therefore, you conclude that 2 aspirins will make noisy children go away. The first use of the word headache is not talking about head pain, pain in your head, physical pain in the head that you take paracetamol to make it go. No, that is not what the person meant when he said noisy children are a real headache. Noisy children are a nuisance. That is what we mean over there. Okay. Then we say if you take in 2 aspirins, it will make headache go away. Aspirin is medication. It will make a headache, pain in the head go away. Okay, so the person moves from the first to the second. Now look at the conclusion. Therefore, the person said, therefore, 2 aspirins will make noisy children go away. That means the person is confusing headache as pain in the head with headache as what? A nuisance, a disturbance, and is concluding on the 2. The second one says, this is an employer to the job applicant. We are looking for a responsible person for this post. We're looking for a responsible, look at the word responsible person for this post. The applicant says, I think I'm the one you are looking for. Because in my previous job, every time anything went wrong, they said I am responsible. So here again, the problem we have is equivocation, because we are playing on the different meanings of what? Responsible to suggest that responsible as being the one that takes charge of stuff, ensures that things are properly done, is one connotation. We are confusing that with being responsible as in being the one who stole or who steals, if you like, stuff like that. So there's a confusion of 2 connotations of the word responsible, as if they mean the same. The third one, these are all funny examples. Mad people must be put into an institution. Mad people must be institutionalized. Zainab is madly in love with Abu, so she must be institutionalized. The mad people in the first example, is talking about sick people who are sick mentally. It is not the same as the second use of mad, where Zainab is madly in love with Abu. Zainab's being madly in love with Abu is just expressing the depth of her what? Emotional tie with Abu. It has nothing to do with mental sickness. Okay. So if you go and conclude, therefore, that Zainab should be institutionalized because you started by saying mad people must be institutionalized and she is madly in love with Abu, then you are equivocating, you are shifting from the meaning of love as what, the meaning of mad as what? Mental sickness, to the meaning of mad as what? Being detailed, deeply involved emotionally with someone. You are confusing those 2 meanings. And that is why that will be what? Equivocal. I hope that is helpful, Lois.
Hello, Doc.
Lois, please, is that helpful? Okay, thank you very much. So you can also help the colleagues who come to you. Now take Let me take Clement Oj, then I'll come to Isaac Tete.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Madam, please, my question is about real definitions.
Go ahead.
Please, in instances where, because of technological advancement, development, and research, somebody comes up with a different, let's say, laws in physics or different principles in mathematics, does it change it from being a real definition?
Well, no matter the new finding the person brings, it will still fit into the conceptual framework of maths. That's the thing with mathematics, physics, logic, and physics, not all physics, some aspects of physics, the deductive studies. That is what defines the discipline. It can't have, alternative ways of thinking about. You can't say that 2 plus 3 has become 17. Then you are not doing maths. Maybe you are doing religion. 1 plus 1 plus 1 can still be equal to 1. For certain religious folks, okay, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit is still one God. That's not mathematics. So the concept of maths are closed. The meanings they give to prime number, botanical names, for example. I don't even know the example to use. The operational science. You can't put plus in between and say that, oh, I put plus, but I meant subtraction. Then you are not doing mathematics. If you write 2 plus 3, that is what it means everywhere in maths. That is what it means. Equal to is not greater than or less than. Square root is not long division. Okay, and stuff like that. So even if we found new principles, they will ultimately fit into what? The concept of maths that are already closed. That is why they are deductive studies. We'll do deduction. You see that. That is not what happens when we are doing open, essentially contestable, frames or fields like the other disciplines I referenced. Okay. Of course, those other disciplines will also have aspects that are didactic, but they are mainly, inductive. And in other words, they are open to contestation. That's why we are still doing them till today. All right. Thank you, Clement. Let me take Isaac Tete. Go ahead.
Thank you too, madam.
Isaac Tete, quickly now. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
My question is on value judgment.
Yes, please.
Based on the example that you were given, I drew the conclusion that in order to figure out value judgment easily, they are associated with adjectives. And I am asking if my conclusion is right.
Okay, not all of the adjectives, unfortunately. Okay, so I could be using colors. If I say she's wearing a white dress, that will be factual. It will be a factually true or factually false matter. Because you can't say that I think that I'm driving, I've seen the traffic light. I think I saw green. Even when the color that was showing is red, then you say, oh, all these things, they are value judgment, they are perspective. So I think I saw green. So you drive on. My brother, you'll be obituary. So that one is not a value judgment issue. Okay. Furthermore, someone can say the current president is taller than the ex-president of Ghana, and then the person will say that is also a value judgment matter because tall is an adjective, is qualifying the person. See, but it is a factual matter. Taller than, if I say Nanado, our current president, is taller than JGM, John Dramani Mahama, our former president, I'm using taller. Taller is an adjective. But that in itself, that expression is not a value judgment. It's a factual statement. Because taller is an objective truth out there. If I'm comparing two things, if I'm saying Isaac Tete is taller than Anastasia Santi, they are the two people I see here. That is factually true or factually false. How do we ascertain truth or falsity? You have to come and put Isaac standing here. Then I ask Anastasia Asante to stand by him. And then all of us speaking the language can understand. We can tell whether this is true or false. Okay, objectively, not my prescription or my point of view of it. Okay. However, there are certain adjectives that when I'm using them, they would make the expression, the declarative or subjective. So it is not every adjective. The fact that I've used an adjective in itself, that makes an expression factual over it. So you should ask yourself, am I prescribing how something should be, or I'm describing how something is. If I'm describing objectively based on senses, what is the case, then I'm making what? A factual statement. But if I'm prescribing how something should be based on point of view, then it will become what? Value judgment. Thank you, Isaac. Let me take Anastasia now. Anas, go ahead. Please, those who have responded, if you could just put your hand down, helps me a lot, okay? Thank you. Let's take Anastasia. Anastasia, I can't hear you either. So if you could just speak up just a little bit more.
It's related to assignment.
If someone can hear Anas, can you re-echo what she said for me, please? I can hardly hear her. Anybody can hear Anas?
Please, she said it's related to the assignment.
Okay, you thank you, my lady. What is the question? Go ahead. If it's something I can respond to, I will. If it is something that will preempt or will be a giveaway, I wouldn't. So go ahead, please.
The question says, using a scenario from politics or medicine in.
Yes, your colleague read it. What is the question, please?
Should I read the question?
Your colleague read it. We want you to use different meanings from these various scenarios to show why so and so. So what exactly is your question of the question?
I'm asking if maybe, let's say, under law, just an example, maybe under law, then you think it should be real. Should you specify it should be open texted or?
Okay, my dear lady, Anas, thank you for your question. If I hazard any response, it is unfair, not only to your colleagues in this group, but also for the other groups. Okay, so answer the question as you understand it. Okay, it's part of our test of your critical ability. Just be assured that we are not marking to look for any expert, some anything. We just want to see if you are able to think around the concept we have engaged and what you make of them. So a simple way you understand, take it as a document that has been given to you at Parliament. You are MP for something. So you just brought it. And they say use 3 days to review and then write a response like this so that they can now take you to United Nations and solicit for help for women or something like that. Okay, just think around it and let's see what you make of it and then write that down. That is all we'll be testing. We are not going to grade you any hard marking. No. We just want to see if you really have done definitions, how you're able to think, apply. The course is critical thinking and practical reasoning. So we have given you contests, law, politics, religion, stuff like that. Use examples referencing those scenarios to bring the definitions you've learned and make them alive. So I've seen the results. I've graded all those who have submitted. I just haven't released them. Like you see, it's not any hard. What I don't want to see is copied work. That one we can catch you. If it's red flags, zero. If sometimes they're copying 80%, 90%, you may get one for the effort at copying. Okay, sister, so don't worry much, okay? Write a response the way you understand it and you do fine. Let me take, at least I see two of you are signed on with 2 names and both of your hands are up. And we have addressed you, so I don't know if you still have a concern. Let me take Prince Tunde, then afterwards I'll come to Nambo Kwesi. And then I can now restart with Emanuela.
Hello, madam.
Hello,
ahead, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Doc, please, I wanted to ask concerning the plagiarism that what if maybe in the exams or in our assignments we are able to cite some of the examples you cited during the lecture?
We know plagiarism. When we see plagiarized work, we can see one. So don't worry about determining which one is a plagiarized content and which one is not. Okay. If you plagiarize, I'll just fish it out and show you your own document with the places that some people take from a South African journal or something and they have stolen. They don't even know they stole from you. Then some will take from a certain encyclopedia, some will take from Wikipedia, some will take from Spark Notes or something. The system we have at UG is quite elaborate and rigorous. We are able to pull out. Sometimes it's the tone of the writer. The people teaching you, by the grace of God, are relatively enlightened. As you write, it can be fished out. So we pick it, pull it out, and run it through a plagiarism system, we can get you. So I'm not talking about you using my example. If you think that you love my examples, coin your own from it. It helps you. It helps you understand it. You don't have to repeat he's a good boxer. You could say he's a good driver. You have said, you see that people should be creative. It will help you that way than just repeating everything that you heard from me. Then you are only parroting your lecture. And before long, you're unable to creatively engage content. You will be overly dependent on people. We don't want to create such graduates. Okay, so that will be my response. If it is ideas or presentation examples, joke examples that you find intriguing from your lecture, I'm saying that you are able to use them, but be creative about it. You can put in yours, you see, then you own it. So if your lecture said, all women are cheat, Dr. Miles is a woman, therefore she's a cheat. Perhaps you could say all men are bullies. You see, you are just taking from her or from him, but you are adapting it and bringing the Prince Tunde version at play. And that is how academia thrives. Okay. All right. Let me take number quiz now.
Thank you, Doc.
You. Yes, you go ahead, please. We don't have much time. So I wrap up nicely for you. Then next week, God willing, we launch into the actual critical thinking, unit 6. Okay. Go ahead. Unless number is sorted, then I can take Emmanuel Adade now. And then I see Ajwa Krampa. Go, guys, please. There's no time. Quick. Manuela, go ahead.
Madam, please, can the word sick and white be a connotation?
What? Sick and what?
White.
Sick and white.
Yes, be a
What's the meaning of connotation? When we say a word's connotation, what does it? How do you understand it?
When it has different meanings.
Oh no, so just the meaning of the word is the word's connotation. That's all. So one word can have different connotations. If I say that, I just said that one word can have different meanings. Okay, so the word chair could have different connotations. It could be the object we sit on. It could be the where is it from? It could be the one who steers the affairs of a meeting. It could be the head of an institution. All these three different meanings refer to what? Chair. So if you hear the word connotation, I'm just talking about meaning. That's all. Nothing much. I think we should walk ourselves through what we have done so far in a summary way so that you will be confident in yourself that you've done something. So let's start from topic 1. I'll take the rest of the questions shortly. Let's go through question 1 to build your confidence a little. So this is lecture slides 1. It starts from the top. We are just running through them. We've done everything on this. You see your lecturer's details. You see what you should know there. Thoughts as object of scrutiny. We are scrutinizing our thoughts. So sentences shape our thought. That is what that unit tries to do. It tries to show you that whenever we have a sentence, it is actually our thoughts that has been captured into sentences. Okay. And so we set off by knowing what critical thinking is. There's a very elaborate recording I've done and shared with you. You can play it back. I said the playback, if you say you haven't had time to, sorry, Lois, I'm picking on you now, but that is what normally students are. I say when you are buying wachi, when you are in the wachi queue, or you are in the KFC queue, I don't know which queue, your bushke, put the earphone on, connect it to your phone, let your phone be in your jeans, either in front of you, of course it should be safe, but in front of you or in your pocket somewhere. You are in the queue waiting for your turn. By the time you leave the queue, that 10-15 minutes, you would have listened to 10-15 minutes of the lecture. You don't sit and say, I'm looking for this 2 hours, 2 hours or 1 hour time to go and engage that lecture. That won't happen because you are doing other courses. If you are plaiting your hair or you are fixing your hair at the salon, you are in the dryer or something, make use of those times. So you'll be multitasking. Okay, you may be stirring your banku or cooking the rice, or you are waiting for your turn at the washroom or something like that. Use that time. Early morning, you are using the washroom. You spend 10-15 minutes there. You are on the WC there. Apologies, Your earphone is on, connected to the phone. You are playing lecture 3. By the time you come out, after you've downloaded, you would have uploaded stuff. So be creative so that you don't have excuses to say that you haven't. Because the kind of questions you'll be asked will not be looking for recall. They will be looking for how you have engaged the content and are able to apply them. Those are the ones that count for more. Okay, so on the screen, we gave you some information on some of the working definition for critical thinking, what it does, analysis, evaluation. You can see that on the screen, we say that we ultimately seek to respond to practical problems of existence. So we are not just learning how to think critically, but it must be geared towards what? Practical reasoning, everyday reasoning, okay? We have showed you how some of our truths are logical. They are deductive. You don't need to see. The language will tell you with certainty. So there are logical truths and empirical truths. Empirical truths are like factual statements. Observation helps you. On the screen, you see, give several examples. That bachelor should be jailed because he beat his wife mercilessly. You say that is logically false. If he's a bachelor, he cannot beat his wife and all that. I've taken you through all those. The rainmaker who is saying tomorrow it will either rain or it will not rain. He just made a pseudo scientific statement. This statement is necessarily true, logically speaking, even if tomorrow never comes and stuff like that. So play the video and get the gist I put on them. Okay, here you see we talk about critical thinking being topic neutral. All of these are in your unit 1 as part of the introduction. Then we saw why you should be critical thinkers. Suppose I said, what about critical thinking makes a person an effective communicator? You won't find it in any book. You are supposed to think through. Why would we say that you will be a very effective communicator, whether party politics or evangelism or a marketer or an international relations officer mediating 2 parties? How will you be an effective communicator? You speak and then it makes effect, impact. What about critical thinking does that? There should be something about the discipline that equips you that way. You become an invaluable problem solver. What does that mean? And how does that come up from a discipline like this one? Okay, able to make better decisions, whether in politics, law, church, what have you. Okay, so it is not enough to do recall. You're able to recollect what was said. We want you to be able to show it, demonstrate it from our interactions with you. Okay, on the screen you see open-mindedness, inquiring my analytic skills, evaluative skills, communication skills, they are all there. See, repeated here, conceptual clarity. You are clear. You are able to present content in a clear manner, even as a medical doctor, not to scare your patients before you give them peace. Okay, so see on the screen now. Now we took the content proper and showed, how our sentences shape our thoughts. See, we say what you mean and mean what you say, because the critical mind is going to engage what you said. You are using the statement to get into your mind. So when someone speaks, we are able to tell whether the person is looking for information, interrogative, okay, or giving you information. See, as I speak, I project, I'm walking you through the slides. So if I'm seeking information, I'm interrogating. Is she your mother? Where is your mother? Then you go and you are calling your mother. I didn't say call your mother for me. Say, where is she? Or where? Oh, she's in the room. That is what I'm looking for. So read my intention well from what I said. And then if I tell you, oh, call your mother for me, that's imperative. Okay? Seeking for you to do, to perform an action. And we saw that sometimes what I've said seems to be just a mere question, but ultimately it's requiring that you perform an action. So we went through what explicit and implicit meaning. We know that it's only declaratives that have truth value, because only they can say something that is either true or false. Only they are our truth bearers. We said declarative have several other names. See on the screen: assertion, proposition, statement, all that unit 1. Okay. Then we saw fragments where the expression is incomplete. And then we saw emotive expressions where they are complete, but they are not interrogating, they are not declaring, they are not asking, or what? Telling you to do. And then we saw the types of declaratives, which your questions have helped us throw some light on the factual one, value judgment, and then definitions, which give you meaning. Okay, where is it? Definitions. We already saw two ways of thinking of value judgment, moral and non-moral, and that took us to the parts of a definition, which you know very well, definiendum, definiens, then the aspects of a definition, connotation, denotation. Now, another important thing here, we already touched on it. You realize then that all statements will be what? Sentences, because statements are a type of sentence. Declaratives, etc., what we call statements. See, they are a special type of sentence. Okay. Interrogatives are also sentences, but they are not like statements. And so we saw all that, and we concluded our unit 1 with this nice stuff. Everything I've said so far was in our unit 1. From there, we moved to our unit 2. I see Joshua's hand. Joshua, I'll take your question shortly. Eh? Let me wrap it up. People may have some more confidence when we go through like this. They remember, oh, so this is it. Yes. Where is it? Lecture 2. So lecture 2, we've done almost all of it again in our revision, but we set off this way. Again, the focus was definitions, verbal disputes, and substantive disagreement. What did we do? We looked at connotation and denotation, the two aspects, not two parts, and not two types, no, but aspects of what a definition. We just said connotation. Sister, the one who asked me a question shortly, see, chair is a furniture we sit on, chair is the head of an institution, chair is the person who's there. In all these, we are using the word chair, but we are giving the different meanings that the word chair can have. In fact, this is not all. There can be several meanings to the word chair. These are all therefore connotations of the word chair. And based on the connotation, you are able to determine the denotation. Okay, so on the screen, we have different connotations of the word table. We went through all these. Okay. Then it helped us to see when we can be equivocal. Now, Madame Lois's question comes up again to help others. Okay, see how here the person is equivocating on what? Freedom. Freedom as the ability to do, the mere ability to do, and freedom as what? Restricted liberty. In other words, it's freedom, but it's restricted. So Ghana is a free country, doesn't mean you can do what you want to do, as the person wants to say in the third instance of the use of freedom here. It's a free country, but there are prisoners here who are restricted. That doesn't make Ghana any less a free country in that sense of it. Okay, so we saw all that, showing equivocation. Then see some more examples. We did all this earlier, okay? Philosophy helps you argue better, but do we really need to encourage people to argue? There's enough hostility in this world. Here is a speaker equivocating on the word argue. Here, argue is positive, makes you present evidence to support the claims you make, okay? But then when he goes ahead, he says, but do we really have to encourage people to argue? Here is disputing, contention, okay? How do you know that the person is confusing these two connotations of the word argue? See what the conclusion is. There is enough hostility in this world. This is equivocation. Okay, so we've seen it again. Then we saw types of definitions: lexical, ostensive, operational, stipulative, theoretical. They are straightforward. I give you keywords to help you remember. So you don't have to come and see slides that are only repeating the textbook again for you. So there is recorded lecture on that topic, then there are slides on that topic, then the textbook on top. Then, I mean, Charlie, you have time for any other thing. That's just one unit. So we have to be strategic. When you hear lexical, it's dictionary. If you want commentary on that, go into the textbook or hear the discussion on it, okay? If you have ostensive, I point to or I demonstrate it for you to see the meaning of that definition. That is ostensive definition. Operational gives you the steps to follow. All these we have done. Okay, so you can revise or go to the announcement to get the recordings for that specific unit. Then you brush it up to build your confidence. See open text chat, we dealt with it already. See well defined, we have done that already. See problems, too broad, too narrow, secular, vague. The lecture is so clear on it. You are adding things that don't belong to the denotation. We will say it is too broad. So you don't know the definition, look at the definitions. Remember that. That is how you diagnose the problem you have with definition. Here again, like all instances of our of our dichotomies. You'll see that we will say some statements are factual and some are bad. But the critical thinker quickly tells you there are overlaps. Sometimes one expression could be both factual and value. There are several instances. One expression could be explicitly interrogative, implicitly this. Sometimes the problem you find with the definition may be more than one. It may be both broad and narrow, depending on the why, the reason you are giving. So you have to be smart over there and engage content. Some examples on your screen. See, lady efficiency is being efficient at what you do. We all see the problem with that. That is repeating efficient as part of your definition of efficiency. Secular, begging the question. Tau talugos is the same one. Then the Latin one is what? Petitio principi. That's the problem we have with it. And that took us to the end of our lecture 2. Okay, and the final wrap up will be on the lecture 3, which is the most recent one. What did it say? We discussed quickly, where is it? Okay, so lecture 3 looked at, I am sure you can see that lecture 3 looked at, yeah, there we are. We put them together, dispute, verbal versus substantive, why we should bracket metaphorical statement, metaphors and proverbs. Then we saw the linguistic errors, which we have repeated over and over again today, ambiguity, equivocation, vagueness. Then we also saw the types of discourse, instruction, narrative, polemical rhetoric, which are what, when I say polemical rhetoric, we already saw that it's like emotive expressions, okay? But this time in a passage form, think of it that way. It helps you understand it. And then we focused on arguments proper, okay? So that is it. See, everything I've said is what is on the screen from the time we started with our course outline till now. So you'll be at peace. See, when the dispute is about language, how we are using the language, we are saying the same thing, but we are saying it in 2 different ways. Then our dispute, our supposed dispute, is not actual. It was just what? Linguistic, language based. So we can stipulate meanings to correct it. That is a verbal dispute. You can play the record. We had a very fruitful time on that with the Tuesday group. Okay. Substantive disagreement, however, is not merely about how we are speaking, but it is our perspective of what we are speaking about. So either we have different facts available to us, but even where the facts are different, it is our interpretation of the facts that is creating the dispute sometimes. Then it is what? A substantive disagreement. So normally, I like to emphasize the what? The contrasting values bit, because that is what really captures what substantive disagreement. If it's factual, sometimes introducing the fact resolve it. It will still be substantive, but it will just be a substantive disagreement that was resolved by what? Introducing some extra facts that wasn't present then. Then one of us will say, the one that cannot be easily resolved is where the disagreement borders on values. I use church, I use politics to show you why there are different perspectives to church doctrines when they are all looking into the same holy scripture. Even Islam has the same. See, because people are reading supposedly one text, but their interpretation of it varies. So Kojo is saying, no, she's not really a nurse because she does not take care of her patients. Kopi thinks, no, she's really a nurse because she went to the nursing training. And these 2 people are disagreeing substantively. So we went through some examples that you see from your textbook. See, then we went to metaphors and proverbs and showed you why you should treat them specially. Don't literally interpret metaphors or proverbs because you miss the point. They are intentionally open-ended, intentionally vague. They are not like the ordinary use of language where you are vague, we'll critique it. When it is in a metaphor or proverb, idiomatic expression, figure of speech, symbolic language, there's several uses of language that are intentionally shrouded in open-endedness. You have to respect them for that. That is the point. That's why we bracket them. Okay, so you don't go saying Kofi is a pig. And when they are coming to beat you up, you said, oh, I was just saying he likes eating. Then say that. Because if you use metaphors, they would come with what different interpretations. So where you want to be directly understood don't be metaphorical, but they have their value and their place, like Proverbs. They are intentionally captured that way so that it will take the wise to see the star, okay, for example. So that is their place in language. Then we saw these ambiguity equivocation that we have really, excuse me, we have really delved much into, and then we came to several examples of them to help your understanding. There's one from one of my colleagues. He said, when your dog pees, put it in a dustbin. When your dog pees or poos, that is when your dog poo-poos, put it in a bin. That's ambiguous. The ambiguity is with the it. Put it in a bin. Is it put the poo? Excuse me, sorry if you haven't eaten. Put the poo in the bin or put the dog in the bin. That it there is ambiguous. I saw it, I laughed my head off. I said I'll add that to my example. Okay, so we have seen vagueness, excuse me, equivocation. See them, the types of discourse, narrative, and example to help you. Instruction tells you how to get it done. Rhetorical polemic captures strong feelings that we saw. Argument, you see the parts. Then the types are deductive and inductive, and that's all I'll say. So you don't have too much to worry your head over. And then we look at what some examples where you don't see indicator words pointing to conclusion or pointing to premises, but it is still an argument. Your critical mind must be at play. We gave several examples of arguments and helped you to find the premises and the conclusion. And normative versus the empirical. If you got all the discussion we had on value judgments and definitions, then where you have laws that prescribe how things should be or how the world is, you are either dealing with a value judgment or a definition. It's simply that. Whilst when the law is describing how the world is, all women deliver in 9 months. Whenever you throw a ball up, it will come down. You see the scientific laws, then you will call them what? Empirical laws. They are factual. That's all. So if you read the introductory part of your unit 5, you see the normative versus the empirical. Normative laws, all the laws you saw there, divine laws, whatever these ones, are all, see, from civil to moral to logical to mathematical, divine laws are all normative laws. They are prescribing how things should be done in this custom. So customary law, moral code, you see, divine code. They are all prescriptions of how things should be done or the meanings of things, definitions of value judgment. Whereas the natural law up here are describing how things are, supposedly. They're describing the regularity. That's all. That's the difference. Okay? To help you understand your unit 7, which has recordings from unit 6, 7, 9, and 10. You have recorded lectures by a team of lecturers on the teaching team currently. Dr. Kwesi has done one, Dr. Miles, myself, I've done one, Dr. Ani has done one, and I think Dr. Morgan. So unit 6, Dr. Kwesi took that for us. I did the unit 7. And, Dr. Ani did unit 9, and Dr. Morgan did unit 10. Those ones are recorded lectures for all groups. They are currently, as I speak, they are in your dossier at your resource too. Every group has it, main or city, because a substantive portion of your questions will come from those units, both the IA 30% and your final exam 50%. So you can start engaging them in preparation for our interactions next week on unit 6. All you need to do is engage them. When you come, I can add more content for clarity. You can bring your questions, but it helps you have a focus point so that you don't have too many excuses, okay? And then the final thing that you wanted to know is end of lecture 3. Great. Any question, Joshua Clotte? Let me end the video and then allow those who may want to go. Or you are allowed to leave. Let me take Joshua's question quickly if it has not been captured still, and then we are done. Josh, go ahead.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Madam, actually, you've already answered my question. A certain girl asked the same question, so
you accepted.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want us to end our session I am always available to deal with concerns that students have. Kobe Wills, your hand just shut up quickly. Our time is up, but bring your question quickly, please.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc. I wanted to ask, pertaining the assignment.